Every time a limited edition watch comes out, I always wonder if it's really worth the money or it's just a scam to pay a higher price for a normal watch. And to be true, most of it is a scam. When you hear the term limited edition, you'll have a thought that these watches or any other product is limited to a certain number of pieces and only a few people in the world would have it. That is actually true. But limited edition is not only limited to watches. You have it in cell phones, you have it in pens, you have it in cars as well. So it's something which has been catching on trend recently, and many people are actually falling prey for this term limited edition. So basically, when a company collaborates with another company to make a watch, they make a limited edition. Or if the company has reached a milestone, they make a limited edition. Those are the two things which are considered as criteria for limited editions. Many companies make limited editions, and now the trend is that almost any company wants to make a limited. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to this channel. I'm Nishant and this is Nishant's Biscuit. Here we make videos relating to watches and watches only. For instance, if you're taking a brand like Breitling or Tudor, they make only a few limited editions a year, maybe less than 5. But at the same time, when you take a brand like Casio or Seiko, they make more than 5 limited edition models in a year. And the number of pieces which they sell is around maybe 2,000, 3,000 or 6,000 pieces a year. That makes a difference when it comes to the value of the watch. I might buy a Casio which is limited to 6,000 pieces and I would get 2 or 3 times the value if I sell it after a month. But if I sell it after a year, even in mint condition, I might not get the same value as a Tudor or a Breitling because they are limited to a certain number compared to the Casio or Seiko, and the number of people who own these Casios are more than a Breitling or a Tudor or a Rolex or even an AP. So that is when things actually matter. I'll just make one thing very clear for you. The lesser the number of watches made, the higher the resale value. I'm not telling you to buy a very expensive watch just because it's limited. Even if it's a limited edition, it tends to fall in value due to conditions which are not in our hands. Some companies roll out their watches later. Say that the watch is limited to 1,000 pieces and they release only maybe 50 pieces for the first month. Seeing the reception, they might sell the other watches or even extend the period of the watch. So basically, if you're looking at a watch which is say a limited edition and it might be selling in the market for more than 2 years, but the number of pieces would still be the same, which makes it kind of a scam because you're not really paying for a limited edition. You're just being scammed saying that it is a limited edition. But if the watch is numbered, the chances of getting scammed is really less. For instance, I just made a video on the Casio Stranger Things watch, which I'll link above and in the description as well. You can watch it. So that watch is not a limited edition. It's just a limited production according to Casio, or it may be even a normal watch, but they have not mentioned it clearly. So people fall prey for these watches and they don't make any money out of it, as well as they don't value over the years. Unless it's a really vintage watch which you cannot find anymore in the world, then that's when you make money. So there are a lot of things related to this limited edition which are being scammed by people, and many companies just put on the name limited edition just to make the watch exclusive, but it's really not worth the price. It's a question of the decade. Basically, if you like the watch, then it's better to buy the watch. You should not have the mindset that this is a limited edition, it would make money in the future. If you take that point in your mind and try to buy a watch, then it's not going to be worth it. But if you think that I like the watch and I want to buy it, even though it's limited or standard production, then that is when you get the value out of it by wearing it every day. Please don't fall for the hype limited edition, because I have been a victim of this earlier and I've stopped going for the limited edition trend unless the watch is really good to look at and I like it personally. Rolex has been playing the limited edition or scarcity game for such a long time. None of those watches are actually limited. They're just limiting the scarcity of the watch. For instance, if they make 1,000 watches a year, they just sell 100 watches all over the world. What happens is, out of those 100 watches, people buy 50 watches in retail and 50 goes to the secondary market. So the value of the watch rises when it comes to Rolex, mainly Rolexes. For instance, if you take a turquoise Daytona. Retail price is around 35 lakhs, but it sells for 1 crore in secondary market. That is when Rolex raises their price to make sure that their watches in retail are also scarce. If you go to a Rolex boutique, have you ever walked out with a watch? So that is where Rolex plays the scarcity game at its peak. So when people are just cramming the doors of Rolex to get a watch, how much ever the price is, they even go to the secondary market to buy a watch which is 2 or 3 times the price. That is how many watch companies learned from Rolex and started to play this scarcity game, which is literally not a good thing when it comes to a normal consumer. So these were my thoughts on the limited edition of watches. So according to me, 90% of the industry are scamming people by just putting the name limited edition and number to these many pieces. But a few honest companies actually make watches which are actually worth the price and have a lot of value in it. But those 10% of those watches are all above 10 lakh. Not many people are going to buy it. The people who can afford these watches are in a category less than 1 lakh, and many brands play the game by just putting the watch as a limited edition and charge it 2 to 3 times the price of the original watch. Hope you found this video useful. If you do, please do share it with your friends. And I'll see you next with another shiny video. Until then, peace out.